This is Cisco and is officially my production assistant at IGR Media. It took me about 2 weeks and $0 to make. Cisco is handling what used to take me hours, sending clients links, tracking revisions, and constantly checking in with our editors. It might not sound like much, but it's honestly saving me hours of my time. And it's really speeding up our delivery. It's definitely will be making our delivery smoother over time. In this video, I'm going to walk you through why I built it, how I built it, a quick demo, and what I learned in the process of building it. I'm going to tell you the lesson, like the actual lesson you can relate with. And look, if you're a business owner making YouTube content, I created an AI YouTube business system blueprint that would show you exactly how you can streamline your content creation process and spend half the time making better content on YouTube. And this is actually a very practical blueprint. It will show you exactly how you can do it by yourself. Stick with me in this video and I'll show you how you can get access to it. Now, let's get into it. And in case you're wondering why I'm holding this, I'll tell you at the end of the video. So let's start with why I built it. I was actually doing a lot of manual work when it comes to delivering videos to clients, and I was honestly tired of it. I'd gotten to a point where I would want to do other creative work with my brain and my time and my energy, and I found myself doing these little things that important, but not creative work. Sending links to clients, constant follow-ups with our editors, and just being the middle layer between everything. If you run an agency, especially during the early stages, you definitely know how it is. Now, the system wasn't broken, it was just inefficient, and I couldn't take it anymore. And in addition to that, I had been thinking about going deeper with AI beyond just using ChatGPT and Claude. Instead of wasting time learning all the concepts, I decided I was going to build something with AI. And because of how busy I am building the business and all, I figured the best use case for me would be to actually build something that solves a problem. So I started thinking, what if I could automate the whole delivery process with AI? Now, here is how I built it. Going into it, I already knew I did not want to spend a dime building something that I barely even know how to build, because I was going to use that as my learning phase, as an experiment more or less, and I didn't want to splurge money into something I wasn't very sure of. So that was like a major criteria for what I was doing. It was going to be $0, like zero. But at the same time, I also wanted to understand how it actually works. I wanted to know how the engine, how everything meshes together to create the whole thing that we are able to see and use. So I kind of like took things a little bit slowly. I paid attention to details. So that's the reason it actually took me 2 weeks. First, I went into ChatGPT and I started to ask questions. I mean, a lot of questions. I started to ask about APIs. I started to ask about LLMs. I started to ask about AI models and the difference between webhooks and API and all of those little things that I thought were important. And how did I even discover that they were important? I would ask ChatGPT a question really unfamiliar, and those unfamiliar words, I would go on to look up the meanings of each of those words just so I could better understand them and bring those meaning back and read the response I was getting from ChatGPT in context. Now, before you wonder how come my environment and the light setup is changed, well, I was recording earlier on and I thought I was recording all along, and I was, until it stopped for whatever reason, and I cannot use the natural light again because the sun is down. Now, let's talk about my first build attempt. The first thing that ChatGPT asked me to do was to copy a Python script that it wrote. I did not write the code, it wrote the code or the script, whichever one you would call it, and I had to take it to Visual Studio Code to push the code or run it. I think, yeah, I had to also download the Visual Studio Code. I had never opened it on my laptop ever, so that was my first time really going into that interface myself to do things that I've never done. I pushed the code and that started working, but that was more like the skeleton. I couldn't really see anything working. Yeah, that was the first thing I did, and I would honestly say that I didn't understand what I was doing initially. As I continued to pay attention to things, I began to better understand. So the next thing I did was add a brain to Cisco. Cisco was brainless at that point. It had no intelligence. So what I used as the source of intelligence, which is how ChatGPT, Claude, and all of these AI tools or AI agents works, LLMs, large language models. So I needed to use LLM as the brain. So how did I do that? Now, given my criteria and requirements, I did not want to spend a dime building this tool. I could not use cloud-based AI models like any version of ChatGPT or any version of Claude. So I had to figure out a way to use an AI model without paying for it. And that was how ChatGPT recommended installing offline with my MacBook. And that was exactly what I did. I downloaded Meta's large language model and I run the large language model from Meta. I ran it on my computer using Ollama. Okay, so you can check out Ollama. Ollama is open source, so it's free for use. You can use it to launch LLMs on your local computer. So if you're looking for an option, the only limitation is it would not be accessible to everyone online. So now we've got the brain. Cisco can think and talk. So I needed to be able to connect the bots to Slack. So what I did was I created a Slack app, and a Slack app is basically a bot. The same way when you are chatting with someone, you see the name. So that's how it shows on Slack, and it's like a bot, but it is not functional except you make it functional. So how I made it functional was I copied some links from the Slack app and I put it in the Python script that I had, the code that I already launched in Visual Studio Code. What I copied, I think it was the sign-in secret. I copied the things I needed to copy based on the instructions I got from ChatGPT. So I copied those and I put it there, and that was how I connected it to Slack. Now, wasn't working because Slack is online and my laptop more or less is offline because I was running the large language model on my local computer. I also realized when I tried to connect Frame.io, which is like the main thing, because I wanted that every time we uploaded video on Frame.io, the link gets sent to a particular Slack channel automatically. When I tried to connect Frame.io as well, two things happened. The first thing was I realized that I needed a way to expose a certain part of my laptop to the internet, and I used ngrok to do that. And I was finally able to connect everything. I copied the client ID as well from Frame.io, put it in the bot so that they could communicate and all of that. I figured that the Python itself was more like the sensitive part, more like the soul. It could communicate with all of these other softwares. And yeah, so what else? Yeah, and I think I did everything. And when I tested it, I had a problem. And the problem was it was actually sending the file ID and not the video link to the client. That was a disaster because that's not what I wanted. It didn't solve the problem. So I tried many things. I literally stayed 3 days on Frame.io alone trying to figure out how I could fix it, but I wasn't able to fix it. I moved from ChatGPT to Claude thinking that would solve my problem, but it still did not. And I eventually discovered that I might not be able to use Frame.io to achieve what I want. So I just thought, why not create my Frame.io? And I asked Claude if I could do that, and it said yes, or she said yes. I think Claude is a female. She said yes, and she went on to make me a mini Frame.io. Not even a mini Frame.io. It is not a Frame.io in any way. It is something created to solve a specific problem that I was facing, and it works quite similarly to Frame.io, but it is very different. And how it works is there's an upload portal that I made. I basically just sketched out what I wanted and I sent it to Claude, and she built it. Like, she wrote all the codes. All I needed to do was copy the code, go into VS Studio Code, launch the code. If I needed to tweak anything, that's why I said along the line I was paying attention to things, because if I wasn't, I wouldn't have been able to make some little adjustments. And I didn't want to use all these AI agents that could help you build other AI agents and all. I didn't want to go through that because that wouldn't help me understand this whole thing. So I wanted this process, and I'm glad that I went through this process. Anyways, what we have now is a dashboard where we now can upload a video, and the moment we upload that video, instantly the video gets sent to our clients. And the beautiful thing is, when they click the link and it opens on their browser, they are able to drop revisions. And the moment that they are dropping their comments or revisions, if they have any, it gets sent to the right editor instantly. And that is the beautiful thing about this tool. I still intend to add a lot of things to it. I still intend to make it, no, I'm not going to say everything here and now, but there's still a lot of things that I want to make it be able to do. However, we have a minimum viable product. We have something that is saving me hours. And what did I learn from doing all of this? The biggest lesson that I learned isn't about Python, not about HTML, not about JavaScript or anything related to tech. It is persistence. Persistence in First and foremost, knowing exactly what you want, clarity on the problem that you want to solve, and the will to actually solve it. I think that I had all the I don't have any reason. Don't let me give any lazy excuse. I don't have any reason to quit. But it was really stressful and frustrating, honestly. But I'm glad that I pushed through and I found a way to figure it out. And yeah, if I'm going to advise anyone who wants to understand AI deeper than ChatGPT and Claude and all these AI products that we use, I would suggest to the person, think of a problem that you can solve in your life or in your business and ask ChatGPT or Claude, how can I solve this problem with AI? How can I automate this task? But please make sure it is something that you already have a system for, okay? And you're just trying to make it more efficient. And that way, in the process of building, you are going to learn way more and it's going to stay way more on your mind if you pay attention. And that is all for this video. If you learned something or if you stay to the end because of my spawn, if you stay to the end because of that, thank you so much. Subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next video. And meanwhile, if you're a business owner making YouTube content, I created a blueprint for you. It is the AI YouTube business systems blueprint. What this does is that it shows you how you can streamline your YouTube content creation process with AI. We have many AI tools and you're going to find it difficult to be able to stitch everything together and know which one you should use at what time. And things are constantly evolving, honestly. But I can tell you for a fact that you can rely on these ones that I'm going to be showing you how you can use for your scripting, video editing, for the thumbnail design. You literally do not have to spend as much as you're currently spending on thumbnails, well, except if you do not have the time to make it yourself. And even for your lead magnets and the landing page you are using for your lead magnets, I'm going to show you the system that you can use that leverages AI and cuts down the amount of time you're already using for your content creation. So if that sounds valuable to you, check the description. You're going to find a link there. Click on it and I would see you in another video. Have a wonderful day. It's 8 o'clock. Thank you. Bye.